The wind cut across the terrace like a sharp knife, rattling glasses and lifting napkins into the air. Waiters hurried to press them back down, their polite smiles never faltering even as the cold bit through their uniforms. The terrace belonged to La Belle Maison, the most exclusive restaurant in the city. Its tables were reserved weeks in advance, its meals cost fortunes, and its reputation for luxury was unmatched. Rebecca Brooks sat alone at one of the corner tables, scrolling through her phone while a plate of shrimp risotto with shaved white truffles sat half-eaten before her. She hadn't ordered it because she was hungry. She rarely ate out of hunger these days. Hunger was something she had left behind years ago, back when her tech startup was little more than an idea scribbled on a napkin. Back then, she had eaten ramen noodles and stale sandwiches, stretching every dollar as far as it could go. But now, as the head of an international tech company, food was no longer survival. It was image. Her plate wasn't a meal. It was a statement. Proof to the investors she sometimes met here that she belonged in this world of polished shoes and expensive perfumes. Proof to herself that she had made it. Rebecca brushed her sleek dark hair behind her ear, the platinum watch on her wrist catching the sunlight. Her phone buzzed with another email. She didn't even notice the wind anymore, nor the conversations floating around her about mergers, wine investments, or vacations in Greece. She was too used to it all. And then, a shadow moved near her table. At first, she ignored it. People often passed by waiters balancing trays, wealthy couples sweeping past in furs, the occasional lost tourist peeking around in awe before being politely escorted out. But this shadow lingered. It didn't belong. Rebecca looked up. A little girl stood at the edge of the table. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old. Her messy brown hair was tangled, sticking out in wild strands as though it hadn't been brushed in weeks. A gray coat, several sizes too big, hung from her tiny frame, its sleeves covering her hands completely. The fabric was stained, the hem frayed. Her shoes were scuffed and thin, barely clinging to her feet. But it was her eyes that caught Rebecca most. Wide, uncertain, but filled with a courage that no child that young should ever need. "Excuse me, ma'am," the girl said, her voice soft, almost carried away by the wind. Rebecca blinked, lowering her phone slowly. "Yes." The girl swallowed hard. Her eyes flicked to the plate of risotto. Can I eat your leftovers?" The words hit Rebecca like a sudden blow. She stared at the girl, unsure if she had heard correctly. In this place, surrounded by people who never thought about hunger, a child was asking for scraps. Rebecca's hand tightened on her phone. She forced herself to glance around. Someone had to be watching this girl, right? Someone had to be nearby. But all she saw were businessmen laughing too loudly, women with handbags worth more than houses, waiters who avoided the child's direction as if not seeing her would make her disappear. Rebecca leaned forward, softening her voice. "Sweetheart, are you lost? Where are your parents?" The girl's small fingers fidgeted with the hem of her coat. She shook her head. "I don't have parents. Not anymore." The words landed heavily between them. Rebecca felt something stir inside her chest, something she hadn't felt in years. The girl looked at the plate again. "I promise I won't bother you. I'm just really hungry." Rebecca looked at her plate, the risotto sprinkled with truffles, the dish that had cost more than most people made in a week. Her stomach tightened. She couldn't remember the last time she had felt real hunger, the kind that twisted your insides until it was all you could think about. Her throat grew tight. "Of course you can," she said quietly, sliding the plate toward the girl. She expected the child to snatch it up, shovel food into her mouth, and run. That's what desperation usually did. But instead, the girl hesitated. She stared at Rebecca with wary eyes, as though waiting for the plate to be pulled away, for the kindness to turn cruel. Rebecca's heart cracked. "You can sit here with me," she said gently, pointing to the empty chair beside her. The girl hesitated, then climbed onto the chair, her movements cautious, slow, like a small animal testing if it was safe. She picked up the fork with trembling hands and lowered her face toward the plate. Rebecca leaned slightly closer. "What's your name?" The girl chewed slowly before answering. "Lily. My name is Lily Martin." The surname froze Rebecca in place. She gripped the edge of the table, her mind racing. Martin. That name. That face. That tilt of the head. Rebecca's voice came out low, shaky. Your mother's name was Carla, wasn't it?" The fork paused in Lily's hand. Her eyes widened. You knew my mom?" Rebecca swallowed hard, memories flooding back. "I knew her. She was my best friend. Like a sister to me." Lily stared at her. Then her lips parted. "You're the Rebecca she always talked about. The one who was going to build amazing things and change the world." Tears stung Rebecca's eyes. Carla had talked about her. Even after years of silence. Even after life had pulled them apart. Rebecca's chest ached. She saw Carla again in her mind, her laugh, her stubbornness, the nights they'd stayed up talking about dreams. She remembered the last time Carla had called, her voice weak, from a hospital bed. "Rebecca, if anything happens to me, promise me you'll take care of Lily." She had promised. Through tears, she had promised. But when she'd gone to the hospital, Carla was already gone. And Lily had vanished into the system. Rebecca had tried. God, she had tried. But her search had led nowhere. Foster homes, state care, legal obstacles. At some point, the trail had gone cold. And now here was Lily. At her table. Hungry. Alone. Rebecca's heart clenched so hard it hurt. She reached out instinctively, then stopped when Lily flinched slightly. "Lily," she whispered, "your mother was my family. Which means you're my family too. You can't stay on the streets. It's too dangerous. You're too little." Lily set the fork down and looked at Rebecca with a dignity that broke her heart. "I can take care of myself. My mom taught me to be strong." Rebecca's eyes filled. "She taught me a few things too. And one of them is that family takes care of family." She took a deep breath. "You're coming with me." Lily's eyes widened. "With you? Where?" "Home. To my home." The words hung between them, fragile as glass. Lily studied her, suspicious, cautious. "You don't know me. You might not like me once you do." Rebecca shook her head, tears slipping free. "I promised your mom I'd take care of you. It's taken me 3 years to find you. But now that I have, I'm not letting you go." The restaurant buzzed on around them, waiters, wine glasses, laughter. Nobody noticed that at one corner table, a promise from years ago was being reborn. Lily finally whispered, "Can I bring my backpack?" "Of course," Rebecca said. "Where is it?" "Hidden. Back there." She pointed toward a dark corner near the terrace wall. Rebecca nodded. She didn't ask what treasures a 6-year-old could possibly carry in a backpack. She just watched as Lily climbed down and returned with a small, faded bag covered in old princess drawings. The colors were washed out, the straps frayed. Lily hugged it tightly to her chest, as if it held her whole life. Rebecca rose, smoothing her expensive suit. She extended her hand. Lily looked at the hand, then at Rebecca's face, then back at the hand. Slowly, she placed her tiny fingers in Rebecca's palm. "Ready?" Rebecca asked softly. "Ready," Lily whispered. As they walked through the terrace, heads turned. Some patrons smiled, mistaking it for charity. Others frowned, uncomfortable at the sight of a child in a world where she clearly didn't belong. But Rebecca didn't care. For the first time in years, she felt like she was doing something that mattered. At the curb, Rebecca knelt so her eyes met Lily's. The city lights reflected in the girl's eyes. "Do you think my mom would be happy?" Lily asked. Rebecca's throat tightened. She placed her hand gently on Lily's cheek. "I think she would be more than happy. I think she'd be proud of the brave girl you've become. And I think she'd be relieved to know we finally found each other." For the first time, Lily smiled. It was small, cautious, but real. And Rebecca knew in that moment that nothing in her life, no deal, no company, no fortune mattered more than this. What neither of them knew was that this choice, made on a cold terrace over a plate of leftovers, would change everything. The elevator doors had opened into a palace, but to Lily it felt like a trap. Every polished surface glared at her like an unblinking eye. Every piece of expensive furniture looked too fragile to touch, too foreign to belong to her world. Rebecca's penthouse was the kind of place people dreamed about, the kind that magazines photographed under the caption "Luxury Redefined." But to Lily, it was simply strange. Too big, too clean, too empty. Rebecca moved easily across the room, her heels tapping against the polished floor, while Lily stayed close to the door, clutching her backpack so tightly her knuckles whitened. "You don't have to be afraid," Rebecca said softly. "You're safe here." But safe was not a word Lily believed easily anymore. After some silence, Lily perched at the very edge of a leather armchair, her feet not even reaching the floor. She kept her bag against her chest like a shield. Her eyes darted toward the windows, the kitchen, the hallway, as if mapping every possible exit. Rebecca forced herself to sit on the couch across from her, resisting the urge to close the space too soon. If Carla were here, she would have known what to do. Carla always knew how to make people feel at home. A sharp ache rose in Rebecca's chest. Her mind wandered back to the dorm room where she and Carla had first met. It was a cramped space in a worn-down building at Ohio State. Their beds were pushed against opposite walls, the window stuck halfway open, letting in the sounds of campus life. Rebecca had been the ambitious one, already dreaming of building her tech empire. Carla had laughed at her seriousness, tossing popcorn at her during late-night study sessions. "Relax, genius," Carla had teased. "If you don't sleep, you'll build your company in the hospital. And if you don't study," Rebecca had shot back, "you'll be a waitress forever." Carla had laughed so hard she nearly fell off the bed. But when things got serious, when Rebecca's father had called, criticizing her choices, or when exams crushed her with pressure, it was Carla who stayed awake with her, whispering encouragement. "You're going to change the world, Becky," she'd said one night, their heads pressed together as they lay on the dorm floor. "And when you do, promise me you won't forget the little people you climbed with. Promise me we'll always be family." Rebecca had sworn it. And in return, Carla had made her promise something else. "If I have kids before you do, you'll be their godmother. And if anything ever happens to me, you'll take care of them. That's the kind of family we'll be." Rebecca had laughed then, never imagining those words would become a prophecy. They had sealed the promise with cheap sodas from the vending machine and a hug so tight it nearly cracked ribs. Now, sitting across from Carla's daughter in her glass and marble penthouse, Rebecca realized how much weight a promise could carry. Lily's voice pulled her back. "You're staring at me," she said softly, not accusing, just observant. Rebecca blinked. "I'm sorry. I was remembering your mom. We met when we were only a little older than you are now. She was everything to me." Lily's small fingers played with the loose thread on her backpack. "She used to talk about you sometimes. Said you were smart and strong. Said you were going to be a big boss one day." Rebecca let out a broken laugh. She wasn't wrong. But being a big boss doesn't mean much if I couldn't even keep my promise to her. Lily tilted her head. "What promise?" Rebecca hesitated, then said, "That I'd take care of you. She asked me the night before she went away. I promised her, but I didn't keep it." Lily's eyes, too old for her face, searched Rebecca's. "It's not your fault. Bad people don't always let good people win." The wisdom in those words, from someone so small, nearly broke Rebecca's heart in two. Later that evening, Rebecca showed Lily to a guest bedroom. It was larger than the entire apartments Rebecca had once lived in during her startup years. The bed was dressed in soft linen, the closet empty, waiting to be filled. Lily stepped inside cautiously, her backpack still slung across her shoulder. She didn't drop it, didn't sit on the bed. She stood near the door, watching. "You can sleep here tonight," Rebecca said. "It's yours for as long as you want it." Lily glanced at the bed. "It's too white. I'll make it dirty." Rebecca knelt, bringing her voice low. "Then we'll wash it. That's what beds are for, to be used, to be lived in. Not just to look pretty." Lily's lips pressed together, unsure whether to believe her. Rebecca smiled gently. "At least try it. I'll be right outside if you need anything." She left Lily in the room, but she didn't go far. She lingered by the door, listening. For several minutes, there was only silence. Then she heard the soft creak of the bed, followed by the faintest sound of the music box playing. Rebecca pressed her forehead against the door and closed her eyes. That night, long after Lily had fallen asleep, Rebecca sat by the wide windows of her penthouse, staring at the city lights. Her glass of wine sat untouched. Her mind spun with guilt and determination. She had promised Carla. She had failed once, but she would not fail again. She remembered Carla's last call, her weak voice asking her to take care of Lily. She remembered rushing to the hospital only to find she was too late. She remembered hunting through legal files, hiring investigators, sending letters that returned unanswered. Every step had ended with a wall, and somewhere along the way, she had let her work consume her, convincing herself there was nothing more she could do. But there had always been more. And now, with Lily asleep in the next room, Rebecca vowed silently to Carla's memory, "I won't let her go. Not now. Not ever again." Rebecca woke early. She brewed coffee in the kitchen, the bitter smell filling the air. For the first time in years, she felt nervous about walking into her own living room. Lily appeared quietly, her backpack still strapped on. Her eyes darted around the kitchen, taking in the gleaming counters and shining steel appliances. "Did you sleep all right?" Rebecca asked. Lily shrugged. The bed was soft. Too soft. "I'm not used to it." Rebecca smiled gently. "That's okay. You'll get used to it if you want to." Lily didn't answer. She just sat at the edge of a stool, swinging her legs slightly, the backpack never leaving her lap. Rebecca placed a plate of pancakes in front of her. Lily stared at them for a long moment before whispering, "Do I have to pay for it?" Rebecca nearly dropped her coffee. She crouched beside Lily, tears stinging her eyes. "Sweetheart, no. You don't have to pay. Not here. Not ever. You're not a guest. You are your family." For a long moment, Lily just stared at her. Then, carefully, she picked up the fork and began to eat. That night, after Lily had fallen asleep again, Rebecca walked quietly into the guest room. The music box sat on the nightstand, the ballerina frozen mid-turn. Rebecca picked it up gently, cradling it in her hands. She remembered the day Carla had first shown it to her in their dorm room. "It's my most precious thing," Carla had said, winding the key and letting the melody play. "When I have a daughter, I'll give it to her. That way, she'll always remember she's loved." Rebecca sat on the edge of the bed, looking at Lily's sleeping face. The girl's small hand clutched the corner of her pillow, her face finally peaceful in the moonlight. Rebecca wound the box, letting the soft music drift through the room. "I found her, Carla," she whispered. "I found your Lily. I'll keep her safe now. I swear it." The ballerina twirled, and the music filled the silence with a promise not just remembered, but finally alive. The morning sun poured through the penthouse windows, painting the floor in golden light. Below, the city pulsed awake car horns, hurried footsteps, the rhythm of life. But inside, the apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Rebecca stood in the kitchen, staring at her laptop, though her eyes were not on the numbers and charts glowing on the screen. Normally, mornings meant checking reports from Asia, replying to investors in Europe, preparing for the endless cycle of decisions that defined her empire. But today, she found herself listening instead for the sound of tiny footsteps, for the faint hum of a music box, for proof that Lily was still there. She turned when she heard it, the soft shuffle of small feet on marble. Lily appeared in the doorway, her backpack still slung over her shoulders. She hadn't let go of it even in sleep. Her hair stuck out in messy tangles, her face pale with shadows beneath her eyes. She looked too small for the room, like a sparrow perched in a glass cage. "Good morning," Rebecca said, her voice gentle. Lily nodded slightly, but she didn't smile. She walked to the table and climbed onto a chair, setting her bag in her lap, as if she expected someone to take it away. Rebecca placed a plate of pancakes in front of her. This time she didn't ask if Lily wanted them. She simply placed them down and waited. Lily hesitated, then whispered, "Do I have to finish it all?" Rebecca's chest tightened. "No, sweetheart. You can eat as much or as little as you want. There are no rules like that here." Lily studied her face, looking for lies. Then she picked up the fork and began to eat slowly, cautiously, as if testing whether the food would truly stay hers. Rebecca sat across from her, her coffee cooling in her hands. For a few minutes they ate in silence, the only sound the faint clink of fork against plate. Then Rebecca spoke softly. "Lily, can you tell me something?" The girl froze, her fork halfway to her mouth. Rebecca quickly added, "Only if you want to. I don't want to make you uncomfortable." Lily set the fork down, her fingers tightening around the handle. "What do you want to know?" Rebecca's voice lowered. "Where you've been. Since your mom, since she passed. You told me a little last night. But I want to understand. I want to know what you've been through." For a long moment, Lily stared at her plate, her jaw clenched. Rebecca thought she wouldn't answer. Then the words began to come, halting at first, then spilling faster, as though she needed to rid herself of them. They sent me to the temporary home first, she whispered. There were so many kids. Too many. We slept on thin mattresses on the floor. The older ones pushed the younger ones. Sometimes the food ran out. Sometimes the grown-ups forgot to lock the door and kids left. They never came back. Rebecca bit her lip, her heart twisting. Then the first family came. The man was nice. He told me stories and gave me candy. But the woman, she hated me. She said my eyes reminded her of someone who hurt her once. She wouldn't look at me. She told me not to call her mom. After 2 weeks, she took me back and said she couldn't keep me. Rebecca's fists clenched under the table, like returning a broken object. Lily's voice grew smaller. Then came the silver house. It was big, with white walls and tall windows. They told me I was lucky, but they made me work every day. I cleaned the whole house, cooked for the little kids, washed clothes. If I got tired, they locked me in the basement. It was dark there. Sometimes rats came. Rebecca's stomach turned, and Lily hesitated, hugging her backpack tighter. There was a man. He visited sometimes. He looked at us, not the way good people look. He took 2 of the older girls one night. They never came back. The next morning, the women told us not to ask questions. That's when I ran away. I was 7. Rebecca's throat burned. My God. Lily shrugged as if it were nothing. I lived on the streets after that. I knew which corners had cameras, where I could hide when it rained. Sometimes kind people gave me food. Sometimes bad people tried to hurt me. But I was fast, and my mom had taught me things. Rebecca leaned forward, her voice urgent but tender. What things? To read. To count money. To know which faces are dangerous. Lily's eyes flickered with a strength too old for her age. And she gave me this. She opened her backpack and pulled out the music box. She wound it carefully, and the soft melody filled the room. The ballerina twirled slowly, fragile but unbroken. She told me, whenever I felt alone, I should play it. And remember, she loved me. Rebecca pressed her hands together, struggling to keep her tears from spilling. Your mom loved you more than anything, Lily. She wanted you safe. She wanted me to find you. I'm sorry it took me so long. Lily looked at her, suspicion and hope battling in her eyes. You really tried? Rebecca's voice cracked. Every day, I hired people. I went to court. But someone made sure you disappeared. Edward. The name left Lily's lips like poison. Rebecca froze. You remember him? Lily nodded slowly, her little shoulders trembling. I remember the way he shouted at my mom. I remember her crying after he left. She told me never to trust him. She said he was dangerous. When she died, he came back. For a little while. But then he left again. I thought I was free. Rebecca reached across the table, gently covering Lily's hand. You are free. I won't let him near you. I promise. Lily searched her face again, her gaze sharp, as if measuring whether promises could still be trusted. When Lily went to her room later, Rebecca stood alone in the kitchen, her hands trembling. Rage boiled in her veins. Rage at the system that had failed her best friend's daughter. Rage at Edward, who had slithered through legal loopholes to hide Carla's will. Rage at herself for not tearing down every wall until Lily was found. She walked to the window, the city sprawling beneath her like a glittering beast. For years she had fought against men in suits, investors who doubted her, competitors who tried to crush her. She had won every battle. But this protecting Lily would be the fight that mattered most. She would not lose. That night, Rebecca knocked softly on Lily's door. Sweetheart, can I come in? A small voice answered. Yes. Lily sat cross-legged on the bed, her backpack still beside her. She was sketching in a notebook Rebecca hadn't noticed before, her drawings rough but vivid streets, alleys, faces. A world Rebecca could barely imagine. You draw beautifully, Rebecca said. Lily shrugged. It helps me remember. And forget. Rebecca sat on the edge of the bed. Can I show you something? She pulled out an old photo from her wallet, one of her and Carla, laughing in their dorm room, arms around each other. Lily touched the photo softly, her fingers trembling. That's my mom. She looks happy. She was, Rebecca whispered. And she loved you more than anything in the world. For the first time, Lily leaned slightly against her. Not much, just enough to let Rebecca feel the warmth of her small shoulder. Rebecca's heart swelled. The walls around Lily's heart weren't down, not yet. But a door had opened. When Rebecca finally left the room, she heard the faint buzz of the intercom. The The doorman's voice came through, tight with unease. "Ms. Brooks, there's a man downstairs. He says he's the father of the child who came in with you yesterday. He's demanding to see her." Rebecca's blood ran cold. She turned to look at Lily's closed door. The shadows of the past had found them. Rebecca's first verbal clash with Edward, through the intercom, then face-to-face. Edward's manipulative nature, trying to play the role of concerned father. Rebecca's protective instincts over Lily rising to full force. The arrival of Dr. Henry, the lawyer, to provide legal grounding. Lily's reaction, terror, then quiet strength. Ending with the realization that this is only the beginning of a war, custody, law, and truth. The intercom's harsh buzz cut through the quiet penthouse like a blade. Rebecca's hand froze halfway to the light switch. She felt her pulse thunder against her ribs. The doorman's voice carried through the speaker, low but tense. "Ms. Brooks, there's a man downstairs. He says he's the father of the child who came in with you yesterday. He's demanding to see her." Rebecca's blood ran cold. For a long moment, she couldn't breathe. Then her hand shot out and pressed the button. "Describe him," she ordered. "Tall, mid-40s, dark coat, angry demeanor," the doorman said quickly. "He has identification with the surname Martin. He's becoming aggressive, ma'am." Rebecca's fingers curled into fists. "Edward." She turned, her eyes darting to the closed door of the guest room where Lily slept. The thought of that man anywhere near her, anywhere near Carla's daughter, filled Rebecca with a fury that boiled in her veins. "Do not let him up," she said firmly into the intercom. "Tell him the police will be called if he doesn't leave immediately." "Yes, ma'am." The intercom clicked off, leaving only silence. But it wasn't real silence. It was the heavy stillness before a storm. Rebecca stood frozen in the living room, listening for any sound from Lily's room. When she heard the faint creak of a door, her heart clenched. Lily appeared in the hallway, clutching her music box, her eyes wide and pale. "It's him," she whispered. "He found me." Rebecca rushed forward and knelt in front of her, taking her small hands. "Sweetheart, listen to me. He's downstairs, but he is not coming up here. I won't let him touch you. Do you hear me?" Lily's voice shook. "He always gets what he wants. He'll take me back." "Not while I'm alive," Rebecca said fiercely, surprising even herself with the raw steel in her voice. "You are safe here, with me." Lily's eyes searched hers, looking for lies. She found none. Finally, she clutched the music box tighter and nodded, though her little body trembled. Rebecca rose and grabbed her phone. She dialed a number she knew by heart. "Dr. Henry, it's Rebecca Brooks," she said as soon as he answered. "He's here. Edward Martin. He's in my building demanding Lily. You need to come now." She listened, nodding quickly. "Understood. I'll hold him off. But hurry." The intercom buzzed again. Rebecca's hand hovered over the button, fury and fear warring in her chest. Then she pressed it. "Rebecca." The voice slithered through the speaker, smooth and practiced, like oil on glass. "It's me, Edward. We need to talk." Rebecca's lip curled. "There's nothing for us to talk about." "I think there is," Edward replied, his tone shifting from false calm to irritation. "My daughter is upstairs with you, and I have a right to see her." "You lost that right the moment you hurt Carla," Rebecca snapped. There was a pause, then a laugh. Carla, still loyal to your little college friend, aren't you? She filled your head with lies about me. You don't know the whole story." "I know enough," Rebecca shot back. "I know about the restraining order. I know about the forged documents. I know you stole from your own daughter." Edward's voice hardened. "Careful, Rebecca. Accusations like that can be dangerous. Truth is only dangerous to liars." There was silence on the line, followed by a sharp exhale. "If you don't let me see her now, I'll bring the law into this. She's my blood. You're nothing." Rebecca's jaw tightened. "Try me." She slammed the button, cutting off his voice. 20 minutes later, the doorbell chimed. Rebecca rushed to the entrance and opened it to find Dr. Henry Adams tall, calm, with the kind of presence that steadied storms. He carried a leather briefcase, his glasses slipping down his nose as he looked at her. "He's still downstairs?" "Yes," Rebecca said. "He won't leave." Henry nodded. "Good. That works in our favor. I brought copies of Carla's will. We'll need them. And I've already contacted a judge about an emergency custody hearing." Rebecca exhaled shakily. "Thank you." Henry glanced toward the hallway. "Where's Lily?" Rebecca motioned, and Lily appeared cautiously, the music box clutched in her hands. Her eyes flicked to Henry, wary but curious. "Hello, Lily," Henry said gently. "My name is Dr. Henry. I'm a lawyer. That means my job is to make sure people follow the rules and to protect kids like you when adults don't do the right thing." Lily studied him for a long moment, then whispered, "Will you stop him?" Henry's voice was steady. "Yes, we'll stop him, but I'll need your help. Do you remember anything important your mom told you about papers she kept hidden?" Lily frowned, thinking. Then her eyes lit faintly. She said she hid something where only Aunt Rebecca would know, in the place they kept secrets when they were young. Rebecca's heart jolted. The hidden outlet in their college apartment. Henry nodded, jotting it down. That could be the key. For now, she stays here. No contact with him. Rebecca crossed her arms. "He'll fight dirty." Henry gave a thin smile. "So will I." The intercom buzzed again, more insistent. Rebecca looked at Henry. He nodded. "Answer, but don't let him up." Rebecca pressed the button. "What?" Edward's voice was sharp now, stripped of charm. "Rebecca, I'm not leaving without her." Henry leaned in, his calm tone cutting through. "Mr. Martin, this is Dr. Henry Adams, family attorney. You are trespassing and making threats. If you do not leave immediately, the police will be contacted." There was a pause, then a low, dangerous laugh. "Bringing in lawyers already, Rebecca? Fine. Let's see who wins in court." Henry replied smoothly, "We will. And when we do, every forged document and stolen dollar will come to light." The line went dead. Rebecca turned to find Lily standing in the hallway, her small body trembling. She had heard everything. "Sweetheart," Rebecca started. Lily shook her head. "He won't stop. He'll keep coming. He always does." Rebecca knelt, her eyes fierce. "Then so will we. We'll fight back. Together." Lily's eyes glistened. "But what if he wins?" Rebecca cupped her cheek gently. "Then he'll have to go through me first. And I promise you, Lily, I won't let him win." For the first time, Lily let the music box rest on the table and reached for Rebecca's hand. Small fingers slid into hers, fragile but determined. Rebecca squeezed back, her heart swelling. The shadows of the past had returned. But this time, she wasn't facing them alone. Outside, Edward Martin lit a cigarette on the sidewalk, his dark eyes fixed on the glowing tower above. He blew smoke into the night, a thin smile curving his lips. "She's mine," he muttered to himself. "And no lawyer, no promise, no billionaire princess will take her away." Above him, in the warmth of the penthouse, Lily clung to Rebecca's side, her first fragile threads of trust binding them together. The battle had begun. The morning after Edward's confrontation, Dr. Henry advising Rebecca on what they need to prove custody and expose Edward. Lily remembering her mother's words about the secret hiding place. Rebecca and Lily visiting the old college apartment where she and Carla once lived. The emotional weight of memories blending with Lily's cautious hope. The discovery of hidden papers that could change everything. Ending with the sense that proof is finally in their hands, but danger is closing in. The morning came heavy and gray, clouds hanging low over the skyline. From the penthouse window, Rebecca watched the city stir to life below, but her mind was not on the world outside. It was on the man who had stood beneath her tower last night, waiting, threatening. Edward Martin. She had hardly slept. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, smug, manipulative, the same face that had once made Carla cry. But now the game was different. Now it was Rebecca's turn to fight. Behind her, the sound of soft footsteps stirred. Lily padded into the kitchen, her backpack still slung over her small shoulders as if she might need to flee at any moment. Her hair was messy, her face pale, but her eyes held a sharpness that no child her age should have had. Rebecca forced a smile. "Good morning, sweetheart." Lily slid onto a chair at the breakfast bar, setting her backpack in her lap. "Is he gone?" she whispered. "Yes," Rebecca said firmly. "He's not coming up here. And Dr. Henry is making sure he can't take you away." Lily hesitated, then nodded. She opened the backpack and set her music box on the counter, winding it slowly. The melody filled the room, soft and fragile. Rebecca placed a plate of eggs and toast in front of her. Lily ate in silence, her eyes fixed on the twirling ballerina. Dr. Henry arrived mid-morning, his briefcase heavy with documents. He sat at the dining table, glasses low on his nose, his calm presence filling the room like a shield. "Rebecca," he began. We have enough to argue that Edward should never have contact with Lily again. But we need more. The court will want proof, clear evidence of Carla's will, her wishes for custody, and proof of Edward's fraud. Rebecca leaned forward. I tried to find the will before. It vanished. Henry nodded. Because Edward made sure it did. But if Carla truly hid a copy, as Lily mentioned, that could change everything. Do you know where she might have kept it? Rebecca frowned, memory tugging at her. She told Lily something about a secret place. Somewhere only I would know. Henry raised an eyebrow. Does that mean anything to you? Rebecca's mind flashed back to her college days with Carla. Long nights in their shared apartment. Laughter echoing through narrow halls. Secrets whispered in the dark. She remembered the small crack in the wall near the outlet. The hiding spot where they had stashed letters, photos, even emergency cash. Her breath caught. The apartment. The one we lived in during college. We had a hiding place behind the wall socket in our room. If Carla used it. Henry leaned forward. It's worth checking. Rebecca stood abruptly. Then we're going today. The drive to the old neighborhood felt like stepping backward in time. Rebecca's sleek black car was out of place among the cracked sidewalks, peeling paint, and rusted fences. Lily sat quietly in the back seat, her backpack hugged tightly, her music box nestled inside. Rebecca glanced at her in the rearview mirror. This is where your mom and I lived when we were young. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours. Lily didn't reply, but her small fingers tapped against the music box in her lap, the rhythm like a heartbeat. When they pulled up in front of the old building, Rebecca's chest tightened. The red bricks were faded, the fire escape sagging slightly. But it was the same. Every detail tugged at memories. Nights studying with Carla, mornings racing to class, dreams whispered over late cups of cheap coffee. They climbed the narrow stairs to the third floor. Rebecca's hand trembled as she knocked on the door of the old apartment. It opened to reveal a tired-looking woman in her 50s, apron tied around her waist. She eyed them suspiciously. Yes. Good afternoon, Rebecca said politely. My name is Rebecca Brooks. I used to live here years ago. My friend and I, we left something important behind. Something hidden. I was wondering if you'd allow us to check. The woman raised an eyebrow. People leave things all the time. This isn't a storage unit. Rebecca took a breath. Please. It's for her mother. She motioned toward Lily, who stood small and quiet beside her. The woman's eyes softened slightly at the sight of the girl. After a pause, she stepped aside. 5 minutes. Don't break anything. Rebecca smiled gratefully and led Lily inside. The apartment was smaller than Rebecca remembered, the walls faded, the furniture old. But the room itself, the one she had shared with Carla, was unchanged in its bones. She walked slowly, her fingers brushing the wall. Memories rose like ghosts. Carla laughing as she painted her nails on the floor, the two of them hiding love letters behind the socket, whispering secrets no one else would ever know. Lily stood by the window, watching silently, her backpack still on her shoulders. Did my mom really live here? She asked softly. Yes, Rebecca said, her voice breaking. This was her world. And mine. Rebecca knelt near the corner of the room, where the outlet sat slightly crooked. Her hands trembled as she unscrewed the cover with a coin. The woman who owned the apartment peeked in, frowning but saying nothing. The plate came off with a faint creak, and Rebecca reached inside. For a moment, there was nothing, just dust and darkness. Then her fingers brushed against something flat. Her heart stopped. She pulled it out slowly. A small envelope, yellowed with time. Carla's handwriting scrawled across it. For Rebecca. For Lily. Rebecca's breath caught. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside were several folded documents, carefully wrapped in plastic to protect them. She unfolded the first page, Carla's will. Signed. Dated. Naming Rebecca as Lily's guardian. Tears blurred her vision. She trusted me. She really trusted me. Lily stepped closer, her eyes wide. That's from my mom. Rebecca pulled her into a tight hug. Yes, sweetheart. From your mom. She wanted me to take care of you. And now I finally can. Dr. Henry, who had accompanied them, carefully examined the documents. This is exactly what we needed. Proof of her wishes. Proof Edward ignored. With this, the court will see clearly. Rebecca exhaled shakily. We have a chance now. But Lily's eyes filled with tears. She pressed her face into Rebecca's shoulder. She really wanted you, not him. Rebecca stroked her hair gently. Yes, she wanted you safe. And now you will be. As they left the apartment, the woman who had let them in crossed her arms. I hope whatever you found brings peace. That little girl looks like she's been through enough. Rebecca nodded, her throat tight. They walked back to the car, documents clutched tightly. But as Rebecca opened the door, she froze. Across the street, leaning against a lamppost, stood Edward. He lit a cigarette, his eyes locked on them, a smile curling his lips. Lily gasped and clutched Rebecca's hand. He's here. Rebecca's chest flamed with fury. She pulled Lily close and whispered fiercely, "Let him watch. We have proof now. He can't win." But as they drove away, Edward's eyes followed them, dark with promise. The war had only just begun.